There we go. Good evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock, so it's time for our July City of Beavercreek Planning Commission meeting. And if you will, Miss Melissa, if you will call the roll.
Mr. Ayers.
Here.
Mr. Diker is absent. Mr. Loftus.
Here.
Mr. Meyer.
Here.
Mr. Self.
Here. And we will have a motion to approve our...
We'll need a motion to excuse Mr. Diker.
Yes, that's what I'm asking for. Thank you.
Mr. Alf, I would put forward a motion to excuse Mr. Diker.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
And we'll do that by general consensus. Thank you very much. Agenda, we have only one item on the agenda. Staff, we're still good for one item? Okay, I need a motion to officially approve the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
And we'll do that by general consensus. Thank you very much. Okay, minutes from last month, June 1st. Any additions, corrections, changes? We good? Staff, we're good on the minutes from last month. Once again,
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the June minutes of the Beavercreek Planning Commission.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
and we'll do that also by general consensus. Okay, now that we've got all that out of the way, we have one public hearing tonight. That's PC 22-8, and it's a conditional use.
This is case number PC 22-8, conditional use on an application filed by Greater Dayton Islamic Foundation Incorporated, 3662 East Patterson Road, Beavercreek, Ohio, 45430. The applicant requests conditional use approval to allow for an expansion of the Dayton Islamic School located at 3662 East Patterson Road. The property is further described as Book 2, page 16, parcel 199 on the Greene County Property Tax Atlas.
Thank you. As this is a public hearing, we will go through our usual public hearing procedure. We will ask the applicant to give us a summary of what you have in mind. Then after that, we'll have a staff report. Once the staff report is done, we will open the public hearing to any input from the audience, or if we have written input. Once that's done, we will discuss it amongst ourselves and come to hopefully a conclusion. So we obviously have someone here who's going to present what you have in mind.
Yes. My name is Saya Ajlouni. I'm the chairman of the GDIF, Greater Dayton Islamic Foundation, with the application for conditional use. I'm going to make it brief and come to the point. Dear respected board members and all attendees, good evening. On behalf of Greater Dayton Islamic Foundation and Dayton Islamic School, as a chairman of the board, I thank all of you for gathering for this public hearing meeting to discuss our application for conditional use permit to our school expansion project. I am a cardiologist practicing in Dayton area for more than 28 years and enjoying the wonderful educational service this school provided my 4 kids and now my grandson, 6-year-old. So there's 2 generations there. Dayton Islamic School was established in 1995 with a small number of students and kept growing to exceed the maximum capacity of number of kids during the last few years, with kids on waiting list for the last 2 years. And we serve preschool, kindergarten, and 1st to 8th grade at this school up to now. And we are excited to add more classroom for current classes, especially the early learning classes, and explore adding daycare and high school. We enjoyed having Mr. Mazen Ayyubi as an architect on file to supervise building the original project in 1995, and we continue enjoying him having his help to get a conditional use permit for the future expansion. We really appreciate your support to make Dayton Islamic School dream come through, and thank you very much.
Thank you. For those of you watching on the air, we have a little audio-visual difficulty. It's not playing nicely, so bear with us.
That was pure luck, actually. So. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. The applicant is requesting conditional use approval to allow for the construction of an approximately 13,000 square foot expansion of the existing Dayton Islamic School to accommodate additional classrooms and a community hall. The property is located at 3662 East Patterson Road, which is at the northwest corner of the intersection of East Patterson Road and Research Boulevard. Property is currently zoned R4 multifamily residential. Private schools are conditionally permitted within R4 zoning districts, and as you all are aware, conditional uses require Planning Commission approval prior to any construction or operation within this zoning district. So the existing site contains the building, which is approximately 15,000 square feet, and the existing accessory parking lot. As the applicant stated, the school is currently available to students from preschool to the 8th grade, and the expansion would allow for them to offer additional daycare services, more elementary and middle school classrooms, as well as the potential for high school education. All sorts of technical difficulties today. So the applicant is proposing to construct an almost mirror image of the existing building, as you can see by the floor plan on the overhead, essentially doubling the size of the building. The school addition will be 9,393 square feet with 11 new classrooms, a daycare room, offices, a mechanical room, and restrooms. And then the community hall, which is located here, mirrors the large instruction room, and that'll be approximately 3,200 square feet. So the size of the new building is of 162 feet wide and will be almost architecturally identical to the existing building. What they're going to do is try to find brick as similar to what they used in the original construction. And as you can see by the 3D renderings, the brick and the shingle roof looks almost the same. And then the only difference is the community hall will have a green asphalt shingle, light green asphalt shingle, to kind of differentiate it from the rest of the building. They're also proposing and showing a covered plaza here that would join the two sides of the two sections of the school. At this time, the plan in the first phase is not to build the plaza. It's not essential. It's not essential to the conditional use approval, as it's just a plaza. There's no usable space in it, so it won't have any effect on parking or anything like that. So as far as when they decide to build that portion of it, that's completely up to them. They'll have to get a permit for that at that point. But has no bearing on the conditional use, but we did want to show you kind of what the overall look of the building will be when it's completed. So the current configuration of the parking lot and the driveway has a singular access off of East Patterson Road at the center of the property. So this parking lot here is the parking lot for Patterson Park Church. So this is the only entrance that they have now, full entrance and exit. So the proposal would maintain that full entrance and exit, but then also would have a right-in, right-out only just to the east. So one of the concerns that staff shared with the applicant when they first brought this to us was essentially doubling the size of the building. So there were concerns about pickup and drop off at this circular area backing out onto Patterson Road. So we let them know that was something that wasn't going to be able to happen, and if in the course of the day they see that the cars are beginning to stack, they would need to bring staff out to the site to make sure that wasn't happening and to direct traffic. So we did add a condition of approval in the staff report that does require that. But one of the things that the applicant also stated to us is that only the preschool and the kindergartners are going to be dropped off at the front. Everyone else is going to have to go to the back of the building for drop-off here. So only the preschool and kindergarten uses this roundabout here, and everyone else either comes in this way and goes to the back and drops off, or comes in this way and goes to the back and drops off there. They are additionally showing another drive aisle around the back of the building. That's not something that they're going to construct at this time. That is for future construction. In staff taking a look at that driveway really doesn't have any bearing on anything as far as traffic circulation or parking or being necessary from our standpoint. So we're not going to place any time limits on when it has to be done, or if it's done. If they decided if they don't need it at a future time, we don't have any concern with that. As far as the provided parking for the site goes, the parking lot provides 105 off-street parking spaces, including 5 handicapped parking spaces. There are 4 different uses being proposed in the buildings when we're trying to calculate the amount of parking spaces that are required. I'm not going to go over the entire formula, but you have the daycare, elementary, and junior high school, then high school, and then you have the community center. So they all have different calculations. So we had to do separate calculations for each of those, which brings the total required parking to 73 parking spaces, excuse me. So with their 105 parking spaces that are provided, they are meeting the requirements of the zoning code as far as parking goes. Wall signage, just really quickly, we just limited that to 50 square feet on the front of the building. I think in the 3D rendering, they do show that they have the school name on the front of the building there. So we did allow for wall signage, and then we also added a condition that the ground sign meet the requirements of a conditional use in an R4 district, which is, I believe it's 24 square feet per side, 48 total, no taller than 4 feet in height. And then finally, just one more thing we wanted to bring to your attention was the floodplain in the area. So the property, a significant portion of the property is located within the floodway. So this red and blue striped area is the floodway. This is the 100-year floodplain, or the 1% flood, and this is the 500-year floodplain, the 0.2% flood, 0.02% flood. So this proposal will be outside of the floodway, outside of the 100-year floodplain, and just a little corner that will be located within this 500-year flood. But the city's flood damage reduction ordinance doesn't have any requirements for the 500-year flood. It's just the 100-year. So they can build in this orange area without needing any additional floodplain permits or anything like that. In the future, if they decide to build that access drive around the back, or make expansions to this area, or build any type of even grade level, basketball courts or anything like that, they do need to get floodplain permits, because anything that might affect the floodway or the floodplain, we need to have record of, and we need to make sure that isn't going to cause any issues downstream. And then stormwater detention, they do have a detention pond here. our city engineer will review their final civil plans to make sure that this addition, which is essentially doubling the amount of impervious surface on the site, will accommodate the increase in stormwater runoff. So that condition has been added in there as well. So staff is recommending approval with the conditions in the attached resolution, and I can answer any questions you have following the public hearing.
Excellent, thank you very much. Usual, very comprehensive report. Since this is a public hearing, if there is anyone here who would like to speak in favor of, against, or simply have questions, please step on up and make your wishes known. I'm not seeing anybody, so did we have any written input?
No.
No written input. Last chance? Okay, I'll close the public hearing, and I will start with my left.
No questions.
So that means I'm next.
You're next.
Just a quick, actually, 2 quick questions.
Sure.
The first one's more just for my own knowledge. So if they've already got a building, why do we do a PUD? This is just more of a...
Why don't we do a PUD?
Or no, I'm sorry, why are we doing a conditional approval if they've already got a building there?
Because they're expanding the conditional use, and so like conditional uses, we do conditional uses when we're looking at projects that could have significant impacts on traffic, on neighbors, and that kind of thing.
Okay. I
So
didn't know
because
why-
this is
okay.
essentially doubling the size of that conditional use,
Gotcha.
we need to make sure that
Okay.
they're still not going to have a negative impact on surrounding properties and traffic and those kinds of
Gotcha,
things.
gotcha,
so.
because I don't think I've ever seen one of these where they're basically building, you know.
The same-
so I was
yeah,
like,
no,
why
you're
would we do
absolutely
an
right.
SSP if we already got a conditional
Yeah.
use? Okay, that was just more for my own, like, brain here.
Sure.
The only real question I had about the property is my only concern, I think they're far enough apart, but these lanes turning against each other and causing a little bit of crisscross. Do we have like any sort of, what is it, about 200 feet? But like somewhere in the...
Yeah, it's right at that edge
So it's
there.
a ways back, it's almost...
It's a distance, yeah, and we'll have our engineer take a look and make sure that there is enough distance there.
And they can see each other if they're going to be turning against
Right.
each other, and not have like a grade change or anything there. But no, I mean,
Yeah.
this is, like Mr. Self says the whole time, a classic no-brainer. So yeah, for sure. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. That's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just one quick question.
Yeah.
The limit to new signage, is that like total of 50 square feet, or is that on the new building?
That's total.
Okay.
They don't have any now, and the zoning code actually doesn't generally permit any, like it doesn't specify any type of wall signage for a conditional use. It talks about ground signs. So just seeing what they were proposing on their building, I thought, we might as well address it now to allow them to have some signage to be able to have that on there, so.
Okay, that's it.
Just one or two quick ones.
Sure.
I presume that until this corridor is built, it will actually look like two separate buildings until
Correct.
they are joined by what's basically an arcade.
Exactly.
Okay, and in the rendering, it shows windows above that.
Mhm.
Does that mean, is that going to be actual usable space, or is that just an
No,
open arch?
Yeah, it's just decorative.
Okay.
It's just fully open inside.
Okay. And will we be permitting in and out signs at the two entrances? For instance, the new one that's going to be a right in, right out
Oh,
only.
yes. So our code exempts directional signage from needing to get permits. So yes, we will absolutely encourage them to put up signs. And we talked about it in our review meetings to make sure that everyone is aware of what's in, what's out. No long-term parking at the roundabout, keep things going. So. Yeah, they're fully aware of our concerns with kind of the traffic issues and the stacking issues, and we all want to make sure that we're not back here 6 months from now revisiting the conditional use because we're having issues. So
We have learned our lessons in a few other spots
have,
around
we
the
have.
city.
Might be good language to add. Hold on.
And I presume that the existing entrance and exit, although it's not shown on the plan, that you can turn left into that one.
yes,
Okay.
yes, it is a full.
It shows
yes.
it shows a right in, but it doesn't show a left in.
Okay.
There you go.
Yep.
So that can go either way.
Yes.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay, gentlemen, second helpings. Thank you very much.
Just, Mr. Chair, one
Yes.
more question. Do all the schools start at the same time, like the daycare, the elementary, and the high school? Or are they staggered, do you know?
That I don't know. I know that the kindergarten, like they have a morning class and an afternoon class for the kindergartners and the pre-K. The daycare, I'm not sure about, and I would imagine, and we can ask the applicant, but I would imagine that everyone else probably starts at the same time.
Okay.
But yeah, the kindergartners I know for sure have a morning and afternoon class.
Okay.
But we're not talking about a really large,
No, yeah,
this ain't Beavercreek High.
exactly.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, gentlemen, anything else? In that case, I need a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve PC 22-8 conditional use with the attached 9 conditions.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Let's read the roll, please.
Mr. Loftus?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Self?
Yes, motion carries 4-0, and we thank you for coming before us. It's great to see Beavercreek as such an ecumenical community with a Hindu temple and a Baha'i congregation and a number of Christian congregations and an Islamic school. That's great. I just think it's very cool. So I think that's all we have for an agenda tonight, gentlemen, so I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I would put forward a motion to adjourn the July 6th Beavercreek Planning Commission meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
I have a second, and we'll do that by acclamation. And we are at 6:23.